Well, hello, dear hearts, and welcome back to the Lola Gets channel. I'm your host, Nicole, aka Lola Gets, and today we are diving into the home stretch of my weight loss journey, or I'm going to call this my final 15 countdown. So I'm really talking about this last 15 pounds between me and my goal weight, which is 162 pounds. So we're going to talk about it. I know it's been a while, so I'm going to let you all know what's been going on with my weight loss. But before we dive in, I want to first thank you all who have joined me for another Transformation Thursday episode and who have subscribed to this channel. If you're new here, welcome, dear hearts. And if you enjoy what you see, please remember to follow, like, and subscribe. This channel was created for us to be able to share stories and experiences about life. So I'm glad you stopped by to tune in. And as always, I'm forever humbled and grateful. All right. So, like I said, we're talking about the finals or home stretch for my weight loss journey. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I started at my starting weight was actually 292 was my highest weight. My starting weight before I had lost a couple of pounds before I started Zepbound was actually 287.7. So you can go back and check those other videos out and how I got here to where I am today in 2025. So, and if you've ever been on a weight loss or transformation journey, then you know like that final stretch is just not the same as the beginning. And I definitely have learned that it's definitely different when you are getting ready to enter into maintenance. And this is actually the first time that I've ever been at a place where I wanted to stay at a weight that I was at, or actually gave it some thought, right? Like I think when I was at my lowest weight, which was when I was in college, I didn't even think about weight like the way that I think about it now in my 40s. So, and actually until I got severely overweight is when I really started to pay more attention. So, you know, with that, it does take a different mindset, you know, deeper discipline and, you know, honestly, just a whole lot of grace for yourself as well, because you're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days where you just have to kind of keep pushing through with those lessons that you've learned in your journey. And I'm definitely going to talk about some of that. So what I want to do is share my truth here, my tips, and just lessons that I've learned in this season, you know, and this is, again, I'm not a healthcare professional or anything like that. So anything that I say here is just strictly about what I've learned on my Zepbound journey, trying to lose weight, trying to be healthy. So, you know, use what you can and whatever you can. It's okay, right? Because all of our bodies are different. All of our journeys are different. So I am really just sharing to hopefully encourage someone else on a similar journey. With all of that being said, let me just kind of get you all up to speed, because I know it's been a while since I've done one of these Transformation Thursday videos. So it's a lot kind of that has gone on. So I'm going to try to summarize it and not make this video too long, but I did want to at least get you all up to speed of where everything is right now. So basically, for the first time since college, I am now in the 170s. So one of my so if you've seen the other videos, you know, one of my biggest things was to be under 200 pounds. So hit that goal towards the beginning of this year. And then my other goal, which I recently hit, was to be at the weight that I was when I was in college, which was 175. That is really the lowest that I've ever been in life, was 175. And that was when I was in college. So I'm living there, you know, I'm like teetering between 172, 174, and just kind of holding steady there for these past 2 weeks, actually. So, you know, just, you know, saying that just reminds me of how far that I've come, you know, being, again, my highest weight was 292 and now I'm in the 170s. It's crazy. Sometimes it just like, thank you, Lord, right? I don't even know how I got here, but I mean, I do know, but I'm just saying sometimes it's just unbelievable. And I will just, you know, add to that my goal weight has changed a few times throughout my journey. So when I first started Zepbound, my initial goal weight that I wanted to get to was actually 170. And then I changed it to 165. And now my actual goal weight is 162. I really wasn't gauging it with anything. Like I wasn't using it as a marker for my BMI or anything like that. I was just literally like, my weight in college was 175. Let me just try to get down to 170 as my goal weight. Then that shifted when I started actually looking at what my body fat percentage was, after looking at like more than my BMI. So like my waist to hip ratio, body fat percent, my waist in inches, and things that are healthy for me, for my structure, like how tall I am, all of those things that I've started to think about to come up. And then obviously I was also looking at talking with my primary care provider about a healthy weight. And so we kind of talked about it. I told her some of the things I was looking at. And because of all of those things, that's where I came up with the 162. Just looking at that would be a good healthy range for me for that waist to hip ratio. My body fat percentage will be in a healthy range, and my waist in inches will be good too. So all of those things is what made sense for me, just based off of my age, my height, and all of those other things that I just said, my genetics, all of those things, right? So one of the things I want to say, like I said, those were going to be the healthy ranges for me. So I don't use the BMI scale. And if you saw my other video, More Than BMI, which I'll drop the link to that here so you have access to it, because I did talk about how you have to kind of look at more than just the BMI, especially if you're a woman of color, right? Like one of the things to definitely you want to consider are these other areas is when deciding on your goal weight, is because that BMI scale is just so out of date, right? It definitely doesn't consider the cultural and genetic differences within women of color, because some of that makeup just doesn't make sense for us, So that, and again, and like I said, my PCP is a woman of color. She's an Indian woman and fantastic. And we talk about these kinds of things, and she understands where I was coming from, because it doesn't make sense for me to be 40 years old. I'm 5'4", 5'3" and some change, but I'm really just closer to 5'4". But at 40 years old, there's no way in this world I'm going to be comfortable being a 130 or 140. So I was like looking at it, and I was like, I like the size that I'm in now. I'm like 174, 170, between 172, 174. I've been teetering back and forth. But even now, I'm comfortable where I am right now. But because of those other things that I just mentioned, my waist to hip ratio, my body fat, and all of that, I want that to be a little bit lower, which is why I want to go down to like 162 to be at a healthier range with that. So the BMI is really the last thing that I'm looking at. As long as I'm like considered average or overweight, or I think I'm considered overweight now, I won't be average, because that weight for me to be average is like 130, 140. And there's just no way I'm going to get that low. I don't want to be that low. So I'm looking at lots of other things other than that. So anyway, and I'm getting really close. Like I said, I know that this is the final 15, but I'm actually less than 15. I'm like teetering between 10 to 12 pounds that I have to lose to be at goal weight. So I'm very, very excited. Like, y'all, it's like I feel so close I can taste it, right? So it's getting close. All right, so like I said, so one thing I wanted to share too is when I actually hit 175, because like I said, that was my next biggest milestone in my journey, was to be under 200 pounds, and then to be at the weight that I was when I was in college. And when I hit that, it was really I was just really, really thankful. And a lot of it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I got here, right? Like on this journey for about little over 2 years or 2.5 years, and just really just grateful that God just helped sustain me and helping me work through all the, challenges of just losing weight and, sticking to your guns and all those kinds of things. So I was just really, really somewhat in disbelief, but it was also motivation for me too, to keep going. Like I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm really at the home stretch. I'm like, once I hit 175, I was like, I don't have much longer to go. And it really just helped me really want to stay motivated to, and also change the way that I was looking at my weight loss. Is really, again, and I talked about this too, is like shifting to that maintenance mindset, and as opposed to just losing pounds and looking at the scale. So I definitely was excited when I hit that 175, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. I was very like, I'm almost there. So that was, again, that's why I call this, season my final 15, because, it's just not about losing the pounds. It's about stepping into this new version of myself, a healthier version of myself. And now I have, to focus on walking the rest of this journey in discipline, choosing consistency and deciding that I can't live by cravings, but by by intention, right? And most of all, leaning on God to help me in all of these areas, because He's definitely got me this far, and I need to continue leaning on Him to help me in these other areas, to continue when I'm on my maintenance journey, right? So, and shifting to a maintenance mindset, which I've been doing for these last couple months, really, because I've just kept getting closer and closer. So, drop in the comments where you are in your health journey. I know if you've been on these videos and you're here for a reason. So I just really would love to hear from you all, to just hear where you are in your journey. Are you at a starting line? Are you kind of in the middle, that messy middle phase, or closing in on your final stretch like I am here today? Because I've been through all of those first two, and now I'm at that final stretch too. So we'd love to hear where you all are as well. All right, I think I am going to stop right there, because I just finished recording, and the video is going to be over 30 minutes if I don't stop right now and cut this into a part 1 and part 2. So I am going to make this part 1. So the next version of this, or this episode, part 2, will be about lessons that I've learned, and then practical tips and tricks, things that I've learned to use to help me switch to a maintenance mindset, as opposed to just keeping track of pounds and things of that nature. Okay. So like I said, this is a part 1. I appreciate you all for being here and tuning in just to hear a little bit about my transformation update on my Zepbound journey. So stay tuned for part 2. More is coming. All right. So thank you all again. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.